We're so happy to have you with us this morning here. We've got 14 women off up in Leesburg at the Women's Retreat, so that's awesome, and I think they're probably watching us on Facebook right now, so we say, hey everybody! Hey. We are glad you're here with us today. We're glad you're here with us on Facebook. Everybody ready to just kind of let loose and praise God this morning? All right, let's get after it. Here we go.
The only one whose favor I see.
me, if you would. God, we are so excited to be here with you this morning. Just drink in your glory, just your name just reverberating around this place and just drawing us closer to you. It's just an amazing feeling to worship with people who believe, worship with people who love, and worship with people who want to share that with others. And God, let us do that today. Let us share that love. And as we take a moment to greet one another in Christian love, just remind us that we are all your children, and there is so much that brings us together and so little that really separates us. God, we love you. Amen. Greet your neighbor.
Hey Guy, how are you?
Hello, Miss.
Hidden glory in creation, now revealed in you are Christ. What a beautiful name it is! What a beautiful name it is! The name of Jesus.
4? So last night, a couple of us spent the night with 260 youth from around the Southeast District. It's the first time that our district of the Florida United Methodist Conference has done a youth summit in 10 years. And 260 kids from here all the way down the Keys showed up to rock their face off in the name of Jesus. And it was pretty amazing to see. And I tell you what, if you guys ever feel like you need to replenish your worship tank, go hang out some youth when they're worshiping, because it's no hold bar for them. They just are there and feeling Jesus. And that's what I want for all of us, is to not feel like we have to be those church people that sit there and listen to the music and go, God, you're so good. I just want you to feel it running through you. So I really encourage you, if you ever get the opportunity to hang out with some youth and worship, go and do it. I mean, it's crazy. So last night we heard some great messages about how we're all rebels, you know. He related it back to Star Wars. Anybody a Star Wars fan here? Yeah? Like, what does the rebellion say? The rebellion is hope, right? And Jesus brought hope, and so we're all rebels in a rebellion against the darkness. Isn't that pretty awesome? When we do this next song, think about how we're all connected. Think about the fact that we really are rebels for the light against the darkness, and that brings hope. It's just an amazing message. Before he spoke creation, the God of heaven knew our names. Formed in his reflection, we are his glory on display. And his heart is good, he is always kind. With a cross he proved, he is on our side. We are the sons, we are the daughters of God. No matter where we go, we're close to the Father's heart. And though we stumble, he will not let us fall. We are the Lord's, and he will never forsake his own. We are the sons,
sons, we are the daughters of God. No matter where we go, we're close to the Father's heart. And though we stumble, He will not let us fall. We are the Lord's, and He will never forsake His own. We are the sons, we are the daughters of God.
God, we come to you today not as individual people here for our own needs, but as a group collectively singing your praise. As your sons and daughters gathered to worship your holy name and to share in the experience that is the love and glory and grace that you give to us. God, as we hear these words from your gospel, let them resonate in us. And let us not look for just what we see at the top, but dig down and hear what you're actually saying to us. God, we ask this in your mercy. Amen.
On that day, when evening had come, he said to them, "Let us go across to the other side." And leaving the crowd, they took him with them in the boat just as he was, and other boats were with him. And a great windstorm arose, and the waves were breaking into the boat, so that the boat was already filling. But he was in the stern, asleep on the cushion. And they woke him and said to him, "Teacher, do you not care that we are perishing?" And he awoke and rebuked the wind and said to the sea, "Peace, be still." And the wind ceased, and there was a great calm. He said to them, "Why are you so afraid? Have you still no faith?" And they were filled with great fear and said to one another, "Who then is this that even the wind and the sea obey him?" Don't just look at this and go, "Okay, that's a cool Bible story." No, this is real, like a real person, like this happened. Like I am on the Sea of Galilee right now. Okay, in a boat, and I'm just imagining like this water coming onto the boat where it's just out of control, and me believing I'm going to die inside of this boat, and waking someone up here, and him just speaking to the wind and the waves and saying, "Be still," and everything just boom, going flat. Like, what would I do? The disciples didn't go, "Wow, that was amazing." No, it says they were filled with great fear and said, "Who is this?" Okay, I knew he was a teacher. I saw him heal some people. I saw the casting of what? The wind and the waves obey him. Who do we have in the boat? They were terrified. But look at what Jesus says to them when they wake him up. He's like, he looks at them and he goes, "Why are you so afraid? What are you guys afraid of? Wasn't it obvious our boat is taking on water and there's a storm out here?" And Jesus just looks at him and he asks them, you guys, seriously, you still have no faith? You seriously don't believe? What did you think? That I was going to die? And let us all die? Do you not understand that I'm in control of everything? And I look at the expectation that Jesus had for those men back then. And we could look at that story and go, "Yeah, those disciples, man, they saw him with all his power, healing and everything else. and still they're afraid. You gotta understand, he expects that from us today. And we should, when I read the New Testament, it doesn't say that it's going to be more difficult now because Jesus is no longer physically on the boat with us. No, what I read in the New Testament is that it's actually that we have an advantage over the disciples. And so with every storm, whatever we're going through, we're supposed to believe he's literally here. Why am I afraid of anything? Like, I want to just walk around now for the rest of my life going, I'm not afraid of anything. Nothing can happen to me. He is literally with me because I have faith. Man, there's still fears in your life and everything else. It's because you don't really believe that he's there. And it's the same question and even deeper now. Now internally there's a change and Jesus is with you. And he said, why are you afraid? You still don't believe? And as Jesus went throughout this region, after that, he goes over to the area of the Gerasenes, and that's where the demon-possessed man is. And everyone in that village understood, like, this guy is terrifying. Like, he's out of control. And Jesus just speaks to the demons that are in him, and the demons leave, and they see these pigs come rushing down this hill and drowning themselves because the demons went into the pigs. And what it says about them is they don't go, whoa, that was amazing. You know, like we do in our Bible studies, like, wow, could you imagine? No, it says they were terrified. They were afraid. And it says they begged Jesus to depart from their region. Can you just try to imagine how terrifying this is? And while we can judge them and say, wow, why would they tell them to leave? Because they didn't want Jesus to interrupt them in their life. You're talking about a power that interrupts everything. And they're saying, I want to get back to my life. And that's people today. You know, I don't want you to interrupt. I like life as it is. I don't want someone with that much authority and power coming in because he has to take over as the king, as the Lord. And he leaves there. That's when Jairus, talks about his daughter and how she's dying. And, Jesus, will you come? And so he starts heading there. And then the woman that has the bleeding touches, his cloak. And it's that whole beautiful scene of his power over her illness. And him just feel like someone just touched me. And the disciples are like, what do you mean? Everyone's pressing. He goes, no. This was different. It was this woman who had this faith, and she just knew, like, I've got to get to him, I've got to touch him. Like, that's who we want to be. Not like everyone else that's pressing in. It's like, no, I'm going to press in with more faith, and I'm going to go reach out. And is that you? Or are you that one person in the crowd that's just like, I'm going to go after this 100%? And to me, the most touching part is then when you get to the actual girl that he goes to heal, everyone's saying, she's already dead. If you had come earlier, if you would just come a little bit sooner. And Jesus is saying, look, she's not dead. She's sleeping. And they laughed at him. And it says in verse 41, taking her by the hand, he said to her, Talitha Kumi, which means, little girl, I say to you, arise. And immediately the girl got up and began walking, for she was 12 years of age. And they were immediately overcome with amazement. Okay. What I understand of that phrase, and I'm no scholar, but that word, that phrase, little girl, was not just, from what I've studied, not just little girl. It would be a term of endearment. Try to get your mind around this. It would be like, like when you're looking at a little girl and you're saying, come here, sweetie. Try to get your mind around this. You're talking about the King of the universe. He comes down to earth and he's just like calming the sea, like stop. Boom. Everyone's terrified. You see a demon-possessed man, it's like, get out of bam, boom, these pigs come rushing down, healing, and then he comes to a little girl, and it's not only his power over death, but even the way he does it is like, come here, sweetie. Like, it blows my mind that we live in a time and in a country and in a quote-unquote church, if you can even call it that anymore, where we're just like begging people, please, 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 just show up, just pray a little bit, try to read the Bible, for a few minutes every day. We're like begging you to follow a person who can calm the seas and cast out demons and then look at a little girl and says, come here, sweetie. Like, you're not begging him. We should be like that guy who had the demons cast out, who it says that he was begging Jesus, can I follow you? Can I follow you? Can I follow you? Man, like, where is your life right now? Like, do you even get this? This is not just a bunch of little stories. It's about following the King of the universe that has power over death, over the waves and the sea, over the demons, and says to you, little girl, come here, sweetie. Rise from the dead. A God of compassion. And we have to beg you to fit him into your life. Man, where's your faith? Beg him today and say, God, I'll leave everything if I can be with you.
It's bad enough to follow Francis Chan on a normal day, but when Francis Chan stands there and says, I'm no scholar. Oh, Lord, what does that make me? I'm some guy with a microphone on. I love that series of things going on in Mark. And it's like, how many times have we heard the sermon on calming the storm, right? Like, people go, oh, that old chestnut, And the one about the first raising of somebody from the dead with the little girl, we got that one, and the woman who touches just the hem. I mean, these are things that we've heard over and over and over, and yet there's something in there that I think we're missing. And I want to take a look at it. I want to go back to that center section because he kind of glosses over it. He's on the boat. He's talking about the woman who had the bleeding issue. He's talking about how she just pressed in to touch him. The disciples are like, everybody's touching you. How would you know anybody touched you? And if you read the original translation, it says that Jesus feels something leaving his body. He gives up something to heal this woman. He knows that nobody else around him can feel it. And I stop and I go, well, there's the actual message. Are you ready for this? Here's the message. You cannot do anything for somebody else without giving something of yourself. Every time you do something for somebody, there is a cost to you. There's a cost. And what that makes us terrified. Because if we're going to be like Jesus, that means we got to give something up. We've got to give of ourselves. And we don't want to do that. We really don't. We say that we want to help people, but most of the time we want to go home and sit on the couch and curl up and have a cup of coffee or watch a TV show, right? Or eat a Danish or something, For me, it's Skyline chili. I would rather be home eating conies than helping people. But that's the whole thing that Jesus is saying. And that's why people are terrified. Because to be like Jesus, you have got to give of yourself every time. And if you're doing something and you're not giving of yourself, you're not doing it right. And that's what terrifies us. Is to be like Jesus, we've got to do something we don't want to do. And that's we've got to lose a little bit of something inside ourselves to give it to somebody else. And it's just that little bit in the Bible. It's just that he feels something leaving him. But everything that happened to Jesus happened for a reason for us to understand. And that is that this is not easy. Being a Christian, living in this world, is not easy. And Jesus does not call us to just come and read our Bible once a day and pray to him and sing songs and go home and live our life. He calls us to give up something of ourselves. Every time. Last night, 260 kids. They could have been... God, am I in the wrong place? I guess so. They could have been playing video games or watching a movie or going out and hanging out. But these kids came to be part of something. They gave up their time to be there. And what did they learn from that? They learned that giving up something isn't necessarily a bad thing. See, we say like, well, if I give that away, then I don't have it and I'm losing something. Yeah, you're losing something to gain something. You're losing a little bit of yourself to gain more of Jesus. And let me tell you, I don't know about you, but there's a lot of me that I could lose and put a lot more Jesus in me and I'd be in much better shape. You know, that's the thing. There's a lot of me that I don't want, that I really do want to lose. I want to give it away because I want more of Jesus in me. How many people want more Jesus in your life? Yeah, but how many people are willing to give up something that they want to get it? We went from about 12 hands to 1. I want to be you, so awesome. That's the thing. It's like, yeah, we all want that. We all want Jesus, but we're not willing to do what it takes. What does it mean? It means love your enemy. That's giving up something, right? That's giving up some anger or some harm or something that's happened to you to love somebody else. That's giving up something of yourself for someone else. But I'll tell you this, wishing some anger on somebody, it's like taking cyanide and hoping they die, right? Okay? Giving it up, though, what does that mean? It frees you, right? What about giving something to somebody who doesn't have something? Well, I hear the whole, well, you know, you got to pull yourself up by your bootstraps, and in this world you can only do what you can do for yourself. That's not the truth for everybody, is it? And 2,700 years ago, that wasn't the truth then either. So if it wasn't true in Jesus' time, why is it true in our time? People with less are not less people. And people with more are not more people. Amen? Amen? Right? Okay, here's the thing. We can sit here and feel very good about ourselves, about the fact that we come to church, and we make a living, and we do this and we do that. That doesn't make us better people. In fact, I would argue that in many cases, it just makes us arrogant. If we're not willing to give that up and say, that person over there needs something. Jesus gave up of himself, of his spirit, for somebody who needed to be healed. All I'm saying to you is this, that us, in this beautiful house worshiping God, we are not better people. We can be better people. And the reason we come here is not because we are the good people. It's because we are the people who need to be better people. I don't know about you, but that's why I come to church. I come to church because I want to be a better person each time I'm in here. And I know when I don't come here, I'm not a better person. But I also know walking through that doors doesn't make me a hero. And Jesus did not come for those who were healthy. He came for those who were sick. He didn't hang out with the Pharisees and the Sadducees and the religious people. He hung out with the drunks, the losers, the people with diseases, the people who needed. And while you may not be a drunk or a loser or somebody with a disease, you definitely need something, folks. You need Jesus in your life. And in order to get Jesus in your life, you've got to give something up. So I'm going to encourage you to find that thing in your life that you don't like and get rid of it. Get rid of it and put some Jesus in you. Okay? Don't be number one, be number two. When you stand back and you look at it, you realize there's so much we can do. And Jesus is just asking us to push in on him and touch him. And he will give of himself. And I hope you feel that in here today. I hope you feel that Jesus is just asking you to push in on him and touch him. And nobody else is going to know that. Everybody else is going to be, everybody else is jostling around. Of course somebody's getting touched, but you'll know it. And he'll know it. And you'll walk out of here a better person. Amen? Amen. Pray with me, would you? God, it's a simple thing, and we walk right past it sometimes. But the fact of the matter is that giving to somebody takes something from us. And we have to be willing to let that something go. We have to be willing to know that by giving that something, we are giving something to somebody else who needs it. And God, all too often, we are just terrified of what you ask of us. We're terrified of what you do because we know that in doing it, you're telling us to do it, and we just don't want any part of that. We want to praise you. We want to be like you as long as we don't have to do like you. So God, encourage us to just let that go. Encourage us to just touch you and touch somebody else. Because that's what you said. The biggest commandment is love your God and your neighbor as yourself. God, that's all we're asking right now, is that you allow us to let it go. In your name we pray. Amen. So it's awkward transition time. Somebody really has to come up with a better way to go from a sermon to announcements. You know, maybe a small musical number or something. I don't know. I do want to remind you to sign in on your pads, please, because we are keeping very close track of all of you. And as I look out today, I see some people I haven't seen in a couple of weeks, and I'm so happy you're here. And I hope whatever it is that stopped you from getting here in the past will not stop you from getting here in the future. And know that when you're here, you're loved. As I said, today we have 14 women at Women's Weekend. It's amazing to have that amount of people go up there and to be part of that. It's fantastic. I want to take a quick second and ask Sam to come on up. Sam's got a very important announcement in the life of this church as far as I'm concerned.
Hi, everybody. Good morning. I can just shout. You can all hear me, right? Yeah.
Mike, use the mic.
Use the mic? Okay. I don't know how many of you guys noticed, but I am a young adult. And there aren't really a whole lot of things for young adults to do in terms of like being with other young adults. And so me and a couple of friends of mine have been talking about putting together a young adult group that would meet here in Delray. So, in order to do that, I would love your guys' help. So if you know anybody who is between the ages of 18 and 30, who you think would be interested, or who you want to encourage to be involved in something like that, we will be meeting for the first time on February 24th, so in 2 weeks. It'll be right after the second service, just to kind of like talk about what we would want from a young adult group, how often we would want to meet, what we would talk about, stuff like that. If you have any names of people that you would like me to get in contact with, you can come and see me and I will reach out to them, okay? So thank you so much. Yeah.
There's a lot in your bulletin. I want to hit on a couple of really important things, but I do encourage you to read that piece of paper we give out to you. The day trippers on February 25th are going to see Bethesda by the Sea Church. This is a church that is just it's a Gothic style church. It's very cool. You're going to get a great tour of it. It's one of the older churches in our area. I believe, Barb, if I'm right, you're leaving here at 9:15 that day. And if you want to be on the trip and want anything more, Barb Hare, right over, Barb, raise your hand. She can hook you up with a seat on the bus. And hey, if we have to take 2 buses, that would be fantastic. You have no problem with that, right, Barb? No. So everybody who wants to go see that, please see Barb. That's going to be a great trip. And the day trippers are awesome. They do something at least once a month where they go out and they just kind of spend some time in congregation and in community looking at different things. It's a really cool program. If you need to know more, please see Barb. Chocolapalooza is coming up February 22nd. I know you want to get your tickets, and so you can actually buy your tickets from any of the youth who are going to now raise their hand because they're paying attention. Apparently not Drew. You can buy a ticket from any one of those, and that's February 22nd. I'm sorry about that. Tuesday at 10 o'clock in the morning, the Bible study group that Patty does will start meeting in the parlor, and they're going to do Promised Land for 4 weeks. That's going to be a great study. The Children's Council is meeting this Monday at 6:30. I got all that right this time, right? Beautiful. So they're going to be talking about VBS, and they're going to be talking about other things. If you're interested in the children's ministry and what we're going to do here at this church, please come to that meeting. The Book Circle is meeting on February 27th, and inside your bulletin it says what book they're going to read. I encourage you to see Mal over here if you have any questions. This is a great way for women to get together and talk. It's another service of our United Methodist women who do so much at this church. So if you want to know more about that, please see Mal or read the announcement and thing. Worship Design is meeting on February 18th, which is a Monday. This is the group that decides what all of this looks like on a Sunday or any other special service. It's an open committee. Anybody can come and give their opinion or their thoughts. We'd love to hear from you. I also wanted to mention that the newsletter is out, and Heather from Dex Imaging printed all of the newsletters in color for us this year, saved the church some money to do that. They're in the back, or you would have also gotten an email, or you can get it on the website. And also, for those of you who don't have Facebook, you can now watch all of our services on our website. If you go to the worship page, there's all of them are there. They go the Monday after, so they're not live, but like tomorrow you can watch this and worship all over again. Wouldn't that be awesome? Anybody else have anything that I've missed? Yes, Rich, thank you for raising your hand.
I need to come up and use the microphone.
Right.
Oh, great. Can everybody hear me? Great. I think most of you know who I am, Rich Stewart. For those who don't, I'll just tell you I'm a servant of the living God, cleverly disguised as an airline pilot. And one of the great things about being an airline pilot is that just so many people automatically pray for you. And I'm yeah, that's right. I'm so thankful for the hand of God in my life, and that's why I want to give you some information in just a minute about why all the men here need to be in a small group. And I know how David felt when he said he didn't like following Francis Chan. Well, think about me, I got to follow Francis Chan and David. So, just quickly, I'm so thankful for the hand of God in my life. And as I said, being an airline pilot, you just know that God is watching over you. But there's a saying, you may have seen a t-shirt about airline pilots. They're special people who have been looking down on others since 1903. There's a corollary to that has been said longer, much longer. It says, the Lord watches out after fools and aviators. And I know I qualify from time to time on the first part without doubt. And I'd like to think that I qualify consistently on the second part. So I'm just so thankful that God is watching out over me, giving me guidance in my life. And the reason I'm telling you this is all of us men in particular need to be in a small group, because as it said, life is hard. But if it's really hard if you're stupid, and there's a corollary to that is life is hard, but if you don't know Jesus, it's even harder. And that helps to get us through. And God has gotten me through so many things. I would like to share with you that He's given me a couple of new missions in the church. One is to be the president of the United Methodist Men, and I have a confession to make about that. I struggled with the Holy Spirit, actually against the Holy Spirit, for about 2.5 years. And I kept thinking of all the reasons why I can't do this. And I said, God, look what I've got to work with. And He said, come on, Rich, tell me about it. I've got to work with you. So, I'm at the point now where we're putting together some small groups. So, to give everybody a chance to be in one, we're starting 2. One, we'll meet here at the church on Wednesday nights at 7 o'clock. It's for men to get together. And the other one will be Monday nights at Panera Bread here in Delray on Federal Highway. It's about a 7-minute drive south of here. So I encourage you to try to find the time, get in one of those groups, get to know some of the men so that you have a support system, because I can guarantee you, you may be cruising along well in your life right now, but at some point you're going to have a crisis and you're going to need each other. And I'll talk more about this later, but there's a saying that God has geographically positioned each of us and experientially credentialed each one of us to tell our story with reference to how God has helped us in our life as no one else can. And I'll talk about that more in the weeks to come because we're emphasizing small groups for Lent. But in the meantime, for all you men and all you women who have a great influence over a man, remind them to come to one or the other small group. Monday night at Panera Bread at 7, Wednesday night here in the church at, what did I just say, 7:30? I'm sorry. 7 o'clock. So 7:30 at Panera Bread, 7 o'clock here. And I got one other request. Today we're going to try to help Samantha, this wonderful young lady who just came up and talked to you, to move a sofa. If anybody has a pickup truck that would like to help us after the 12 o'clock service, we greatly appreciate it. So just come and see me. Thank you very much.
All right, we all stand up and take hands across the aisle.
Lord, I confess, bowing here, I find my rest. Without you, I fall apart. You're the one that guides my heart. Lord, I need you. Oh, I need you. Every hour I need you. My one defense, my righteousness. Oh God, how I need you.
We're sitting around the seat.
The sin runs deep. Your grace is more. Where grace is found is where you are. And where you are, Lord, I am free. Holiness is Christ in me. Lord, I need you. Oh, I need you. Every hour I need you. My one defense, my righteousness. Oh God, how I need you. So teach my song to rise to you. When temptation comes my way, when I cannot stand, I'll fall on you. Jesus, you're my hope and stay. Lord, I need you. Oh, I need you. Every hour I need you. My one defense, my righteousness. Oh God, how I need you. My one defense, my righteousness. Oh God, how I need you. My one defense, my righteousness. Oh God, how I need you.
And now as we depart, not taking but giving of ourselves, Lord, remind us that you are the light and the hope, and that you are the candle in the darkness, and that we are rebels on the side of light. And God, let us go out and fight against that darkness by giving to others, even as it takes from us. In your name we pray. Amen.
Lord,